Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen. We're with Comic Blaze Mancillas. Blaze Mancillas, how the hell are you?
I'm great. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, good. Well, I mean, you just like right now you're coming off like a game show host, and that's what you were for a while there, weren't you?
I was a game show host for the past year. I was hosting a game show from a studio and from my apartment, like a music game show. So I don't know why I'm not like talking about it like I can. It was Song Pop Live, and it was sort of like we play songs like a song title or artist, and people guess the song title or artist, and you win cash. And we would do it live every day for about a year in the U.S., Canada, UK, and Australia. And when during the pandemic hit, we were able to make it happen from my apartment.
Yeah, that was so interesting to see. Yeah, the DNC guy, he organized the whole convention from his apartment. So it's pretty sweet to see that you can change on the fly like that.
It's amazing what the tech team there did, and it honestly is just so much fun. And I've never done anything like that, really, where I'm hosting and it's live. And then I really had fun with like quote crowd work, where like people could chat with me, and then I could sort of like talk to them. They could like type in little chat stuff, and I could like talk to them and riff and be funny. And that was really, really fun for me. That was probably one of the funnest parts of the show.
Because it's kind of all consuming. You have to be present in the moment at all times.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It would just be me sitting, staring at a camera. And I sometimes, we had things written and scripted, but I always thought it was fun when I'd get like a chat, somebody responding to something I said. And I don't know where I'm going to go with it. I always like playing with people and sort of improvising like that. So.
Wow. That's and not everybody has that skill.
I guess not. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to Greg Stone before, and he went on this big old fucking riff about how Steven Rogers is a murderer. So that was although Steven Rogers is not a fucking murderer, and the reason why it worked is because he's the nicest man in the history of time. It was so nice to have Greg Stone riff like that. So yeah, I appreciate the guest who can fucking riff. And how do they find you? Like, I know I follow you at Twitter. You're Blaze Mancillas, and that's on Instagram as well. Like, how did they look at Blaze Mancillas and look at this picture of you with a sunflower outfit on and say that is the game show host?
Well, thankfully I didn't wear my Halloween costume to the auditions. That was step one. They might have thought I was a little strange. I don't wear the sunflower outfit in my act. I just want to make that clear. I'm not like the sunflower guy that gets on stage. I don't have like flower material. But I do like that photo very much.
Even the Twitter, the background, the banner picture is also flowers, and so you can be memorable on social without showing up in a flower outfit.
Yeah. But no, I just auditioned. I had an audition for it, and it honestly, the audition was a lot of fun because they were, because HQ is sort of like a rival game that was out, and I'm a fan of HQ, and I like a lot of the comedians that hosted. They're really funny and talented. And so basically I went in the audition, and they're like, so this is kind of like HQ, but it's going to be music. We have like a little script there for you. And then, but the script is not going to fill all the time. So if you could just read the script and then just riff for like a minute or 2 minutes in these sections, that would be great. And I was like, all right.
Do I get a writer's credit for this?
Yeah, that would have been really nice. I remember one of the bits that got me, I think that helped get me the role, because the producer, I had to do like a callback, and then they really liked me. Obviously, they hired me and 2 other hosts, 3 of us that would rotate. But I remember I like came up with a bit where I thought it'd be funny to like fake people out with like the genre. So I'd be like, all right, everybody, welcome to Song Pop Live. Today's on this musical trivia game, we're going to be looking at one specific musical genre, and that is Swedish trundle rap. If you're not familiar with it, it is the Scandinavian furniture-based hip-hop music, all about Ottomans, footstools, chairs, step stools, any Scandinavian furniture that you could put your feet on, we're going to be dropping that beat. I'm just kidding, everybody. We're doing R&B and hip hop from the 2000s. Welcome to the show. I would do like a fake out like that, and they really liked that.
And if you had kept it, I mean, if you didn't reveal that that was a joke, like it would have made it more difficult to guess, right? Like you would have played a Taylor Swift beat, and they're like, I don't fucking know this. It's Trundle rap. I don't fucking know.
Exactly. But yeah, so that was really fun. So yeah, I think I was kind of the risk choice because the other two hosts were hosting experience. I've done acting and comedy, but I had never done any hosting before. So I think they took a little bit of a risk, and it seemed like they were happy with it. I had a really good time hosting that show.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. Like, you know, in a stand-up show or whatever, or improv, you can kind of go somewhere dark or blue or PG-13 or R. Like while you're riffing, you can't really control your parental guidance rating. And so like when you got out to a game show, was it difficult to riff in such a way where it was still going to be acceptable for a live show?
Sure. That's a really good question. I'll tell you this, in my act, like in my stand-up, I'm not a clean comic. You know, I talk about sex and I curse and things like that. And obviously this show was not going to fly. They were like, this is a clean, family-friendly show. We don't want any cursing. We don't want, you know, any sort of like sexual innuendo or too much or anything like that. So that was challenging. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I do have experience working in radio, and I have worked on shows where you can't be cursing and being dirty like that. So honestly, the not cursing and the not being dirty was not that hard. What was actually harder was that because we were doing a show where we're partnering with like music artists, we weren't allowed to criticize really any artists. That's very hard.
Yeah.
Like if you could think of like, you know, your least favorite artist, and if it comes up as a topic or something on the show, you can't say what you truly feel. I feel like that was harder for me. Like I feel it in my gut. Like I really wanted to say something about Nickelback, but I had to be like, and that was Nickelback, and man, aren't they a good time.
Well, that's cool. I mean, but even that, I mean, where the text of it, of course, would pass, you know, the Nickelback censor and then the Nickelback representative, like the audience would see that you're kind of talking out of your ass. Like they're sensing from you that maybe you don't like Nickelback, or maybe Nickelback doesn't have a great rep. Like, were you worried that kind of doing that double meaning would also fuck with, you know, the Nickelback relationship?
I wasn't worried about it because the producers weren't worried about it, and I would sometimes toe the line. So sometimes if I would like, they would let me get away with some innuendo. So if it was a song I thought was really bland or terrible, occasionally I might say like, oh, I love that track. I think I heard that last time I was on hold for the airline. All right, anyway, like, and sometimes they would let me get away with it, but I couldn't go do it too much. So that way people would know like, oh, like that's a clever way of like, at least I thought it was clever, not to toot my own horn, but like that was a way of saying I don't care for that song, but I can't just say that song sucks.
Yeah, because they might not listen to the episode, but they'll find out if you say, you know, somebody will tweet, hey, did you hear that he said Nickelback sucked? And Nickelback would be on the phone in about 5 seconds. Yeah, and I guess my question, you know, because like you said, bland, and because I think there's probably more than one song per episode, like I worry that if it's all in the same genre and you're just doing the tune or the beat.
Oh, no. So basically what happens is there's 25 songs. And so if the theme for the show is hip hop, then you play, each round is 5 songs. So first round, they'll play 5 hip hop songs, and they give you like little buttons, multiple choice. And so if you hear a song, you're like, is this Gangsta's Paradise? Is this, I don't know, like Straight Outta Compton? You quickly guess it. So if they get all 25 songs right, then they win. So you're hearing 25 songs.
But like, are you hearing the snippet with the vocal or just the instrumentation?
The whole song, the actual song with the vocal and everything.
Oh, okay. But like, if you can ring in quicker than the other people, like maybe I just hear a little bit of the Gangster's Paradise even before he starts rapping, and I would buzz in. Sure. I guess my problem is they all could start to sound the same, you know, especially if it's in the same genre. But I mean, I think Straight Outta Compton and Gangster's Paradise is a little bit different. Yeah. You know, they don't sound the same.
And they have like seconds to answer, like 5 seconds, and then each round you have even less. So I think by the last round you maybe have like 2 seconds to answer. So it moves very quickly, and once you make a mistake, you're pretty much out.
And would you be good at this game if you were not hosting it?
Well, it's one of those things that it's like really, it's, I think for some people it's like the genre. So there were certain genres I was better at. So like if it was a day where it was like, oh, today is all 2000s music. So it's music from the early 2000s. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at hip hop and R&B. I'm good at 80s. I'm not great at 60s. It gets a little hazy.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about country. So if it was a country day, I would be absolutely terrible at it. So it just depends on what the genre is, you know.
I would just fucking nail it. And was that a prerequisite of like you joining? Like, did you have to? I guess at the very least, you have to be fine hearing 25 songs an episode. And how often were you taping that? Because that's a lot of music. If Blaze Mancillas is not the world's biggest music fan.
Sure. And I do like music. I can't say I'm like a music expert, but I feel like I've become one in just working on this show. Wait, I'm sorry. What was your question?
Well, like, was it a prerequisite, to be a music lover? Because, it sounds like you were not the world's biggest music fan going in, but I suppose the only thing you had to have locked down is that you wouldn't get too annoyed with 25 songs an episode.
No. And I wouldn't say that I had any dislike for music. I'm not like, I don't have like I've not written essays on music or anything like that. But yeah, I think there was some prerequisite, like you had to know something about music and have to care and be interested, and that was all things that checked my boxes. So
yeah. And so and how often was that? Like you were listening to 25 songs an episode. How often?
So the show was 15 minutes long, and it was twice a day, every day, and at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern. And then there was a point where they pared it down to one show a day, just 8 p.m. Eastern. And then unfortunately, the show ended July 19th. But yeah, we were doing 2 shows a day at 5 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week.
And then kind of how were you able to, handle your own comedy during that? I guess you were kind of banking a paychecks and maybe your personal comedy career would take a back seat, but really it's not because you're flexing your comedy chops during the show.
No, and honestly, the show would end at 8:15 and I would go straight to comedy shows right after that when we were not in the pandemic. Like it didn't interfere with my comedy career in any way at all. It was actually quite wonderful. And it was a great paycheck. So yeah, it took up very little of my time. I'd have to get in there like an hour before the first show for a rehearsal. And then we'd do the show, and then I hang out, have dinner, and then we'd do the 8 p.m. and I'm out the door by 8:20, and I would go run to go do a show somewhere else. So it definitely didn't hurt. I have to say, once we got into a pandemic and I wasn't able to do anything else, it really scratched that itch for me. And I haven't been doing as many like Zoom shows as other people because I had the game show where I could joke around and write bits and write like parody songs. We did all kinds of stuff on that show. It was really, really fun. So it was nice to have it, not only for the paycheck, but just so I could be creatively working on something,
And did it, so it sounds like it was going on during the pandemic, but did it end at some point?
Yeah, it ended July 19th, unfortunately.
Was it going to start back up, or was that just their season?
I can't speak for them, and I can't speak to the issues of why it stopped, but here's the thing. It's a really great company. They have a lot of other song trivia games that aren't like live, but you can like play with people around the world.
Oh, okay.
I think my guess is they will find a way to get this thing up and running again, but it might take some time because it was a really great game. And people really seem to like it, and they seem to like it. But it seems like there were other issues, like tech-related things that I was unaware of that weren't going to their liking. So
okay. And then how did it compare? Like I know HQ itself is a huge, just phenomenon and things like that. Maybe because you were able to kind of interact with these hosts live or something, or it was you actually were able to play the game show from the comfort of your own fucking cell phone. Like how did it compare? And how is HQ? Is it still, is it still as successful as it was, and why do you think it was successful vis-a-vis your own show? How did your own show compare and contrast with HQ?
Well, that's a good question.
Being politic, yeah. Is HQ even all music, or is it everything?
HQ is just trivia. It's
not just music trivia, all trivia.
Yeah, all trivia. So I don't know. It's different in the sense I think their show might be more challenging in that you have to write questions. You have to write all those questions every show. We just have, it's essentially like playlists of songs. So in one sense, there's less work on that end, but it does allow us more freedom to like play and be silly. So I did like that, is that there was a significant portion of I could just be improvising and interacting with players live and not be so scripted. So that was really cool. Yeah, I don't
Blaze
know.
Mancillas is a better host for that show rather than
Maybe
he was able to flex his improv comedy chops.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I have to say I do enjoy HQ. I'm not trying to trash them, and I enjoy a lot of the people like Anna Roisman and Matt Richards. I think are so talented and they're so funny.
Sure.
I definitely would tune into HQ just to see those two comedians because I'm such a fan.
Yeah. I think we were hoping to have Anna Roisman on at some point, but I mean, you were also doing Blaze It Up show, and I think that was an in-person comedy show, and I see it. It's like a who's who of former guests. I love them all. I think you had Jen Lapp on, and and even at one point I didn't have Gregory Joseph on, but early on I was I think Gregory Joseph like decades ago. Like I was interacting with him, and I think now he's in New Orleans. But you have Sonia Vion and all these badasses, Kyle Lewis, like. Why did that show not stay virtual, and will it ever go virtual?
Man, that's a good question. Yeah,
I want the good answer, Blaze Mancillas. I want to see all these comics in person at the Vig Bar.
Yeah, I love doing that show. I have to say, just to give you some background on that Blaze It Up show, it was at the Vig Bar. It's this place downtown. A buddy of mine DJs before and after the show. It was great music, a small little intimate room. My sort of goal with that show, I get sort of tired of seeing like all male lineups, especially all like white guys from Long Island. Like I just get tired of that. Not like there's anything wrong with them.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with it. Yeah, there's some funny people on Long Island, but yeah.
With Strong Island and all those boys from there, they're great. I'm just saying you could see that anywhere. And that was sort of what I didn't want to do. And so, this is my first time like having my own show. And so I booked everybody and I tried to make it predominantly female and people of color. And I try to make sure that people, the LGBTQ community represented. So like, first of all, that was like my goal in doing that show and to make it free, which is fun. Why didn't it go virtual? I don't know. Like I said, I was busy with the game show when the pandemic ended. So I felt like I would very, very selfishly, I guess I could say, I was like, well, I'm getting
it scratched my itch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be totally honest about that. Yeah.
Fuck the people in the audience. They don't need to laugh, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I guess my question to myself is like, okay, Blaze, if you're gonna do this digital Zoom how are you gonna make it like interesting and different as opposed to just like every other Zoom thing? And I don't know if I have an answer for that question. So that's why I haven't done it. Am I open to possibly doing it in the future? Yeah. I've also been working on some other things that are gonna be coming out soon. That I'll just tease that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, what can you tell us? I mean, and then how are we supposed to track when it's coming out? Are you going to drop some hints on Blaze Mancillas across Twitter and Instagram?
I'll just say, just give me a follow on all the socials at Blaze Mancillas. And I would say in the next month or two, you might see something really cool that I've been working on for quite some time that you'll be able to enjoy, for a while. I'll just say that.
Good. That's nice, man. The Forever Fountain. Are you going to do any sketch videos for online content?
I might do some more of that stuff. I've done a couple of those during the pandemic. I gotten really into bird watching during the pandemic.
Nice.
I know that sounds a little absurd, but I've gotten really into it. I've sort of hungered for nature because I live on the Upper West Side. I'm in a tiny apartment, and I spent a lot of time on Twitter, and I've gotten really into like bird Twitter. And so now I have binoculars. I go to Central Park. I've made some like casual friends with a few of the birders. It's been really great.
Were you friends with the Cooper guy, the racially profiled dude?
Oh yeah. No, I did not know him. I did see it, that whole thing. The woman that said she was being attacked and all that nonsense. But that isn't in an area where there's a lot of birders, so I wasn't surprised about that.
So did you have bird-related sketch content during your pandemic?
Yeah, if you check out my Insta or my YouTube, I have I sort of did like a sports highlight reel, but for like a bird that I saw catch. and I break it down sort of like it's like a football play or something like that.
Wait,
So
I
you could.
interrupted you. What did the bird do? Did the bird did something active?
Oh yeah, so it was I got footage like slow mo footage of a bird like catching a bug. Uh,
Yes. How the
and
fuck did you do that?
honestly, I just it was luck. It was very much luck, and I only saw it until I reviewed the footage afterwards. But then it gave me this idea to write a sketch, and so I have this sketch on my Insta, YouTube. You could check out of me doing like a sports highlight recap of this bug catching play. But yeah.
Dude, I fucking love it. Like, the great comedians can make comedy out of anything, whether or not it's a music related talk show or the birder in
Sure.
all of us.
There's so many funny things with the birders. I have to say, my first time out there, like talking with some of them, I got to hear some of like the birder drama, and it was so great. Because there was a couple birders talking, and they're like, "Oh, do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? Oh, what about Brandon?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I know Brandon." And then there was like this like silence. It's like, some people don't really agree with sort of using like artificial bird noises to attract the birds. I know, right? It's really weird that he does it. And he gets so like bully. He's such a bully about it. I know. He's just like, and it's like, really? We went from bird watching to Trump. Like, I'm trying to get an escape from like the CNN, all this politics shit. I read it every day on Twitter. When I go bird watching, the last thing I want to do is think about our shitty ass president. And here we are, I'm bird watching, and now we're talking about Trump.
I love it. Yeah, you meet Brandon yet? Oh yeah, but he's so aggressive with his bird calls. I love that so much. Like, you can make comedy out of anything. So Blaze Mancillas, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.